Welcome back to Rare and Valuable Coins. Today, we're diving deep into the world of rare Washington quarter dollars, Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickels. But not just any coins, we're talking about the ones that sold for thousands of dollars at auction, so let's get started. United States Washington quarter dollar from the year 1966, which is particularly famous for its damaged date and the fact that it carries no mint mark. This absence of a mint mark places its origin at the Philadelphia Mint, the nation's original minting facility and a cornerstone of U.S. coin production history. The 1966 quarter stands out not only because of its place in the series, but also because of the specific damage it has sustained: lamination damage, which affects the surface layers of the coin. Despite what might appear as a detriment, coins with such conditions often garner tremendous interest from collectors, especially those who focus on error coins or coins that illustrate unusual minting defects. To fully appreciate this coin, it helps to understand the broader historical context of quarters in the 1960s. This was a decade marked by change and evolution in coin production techniques. The United States Mint was transitioning away from silver coinage toward clad coinage, copper nickel layers bonded around a core, which began in 1965. The 1966 quarters were among the first to be struck in this new clad composition. This transition has made the mid-1960s quarters, especially those with certain defects or unusual characteristics, highly collectible. The absence of the mint mark on this 1966 quarter confirms it was minted in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on quarters during this period. This fact adds to its historical value, marking it as a product of the nation's oldest and most storied mint. The coin's design remains consistent with the Washington quarter's classic imagery. The obverse portrays George Washington's profile, a design by John Flanagan that has graced quarters since 1932. The reverse continues to feature the heraldic eagle with wings extended, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing strength and peace. What truly sets this 1966 quarter apart is its damage date and the lamination damage condition. Lamination errors occur when layers of the coin's metal flake or peel off due to impurities or issues in the metal bonding process. These errors can happen during or after minting and sometimes make a coin visually striking and unique. The damage date on the 1966 quarter is particularly interesting because it affects how the date is read and interpreted. Damage to the date can occur from minting errors, circulation wear, or environmental factors, and coins with such visible characteristics are often sought by error collectors. They represent a tangible anomaly that showcases the coin's journey and the imperfections inherent in minting processes. In terms of mintage, 1966 quarters had a very high production volume. The U.S. Mint was supplying coins for general circulation after the switch to clad coinage. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck millions of quarters this year, making it a common date overall. However, surviving specimens with lamination damage and damaged date features in collectible condition are far less common. Market values for such coins depend heavily on the severity and visibility of the damage, provenance, and certification. While a typical 1966 quarter might be worth only face value or a small premium, a damaged date lamination error can elevate the value substantially. Today's auction markets have seen such coins fetch prices exceeding $135,000, especially when the error is pronounced and the coin is certified by a reputable grading service. Collectors specializing in error coins find this 1966 quarter especially alluring because it provides a glimpse into the imperfections and complexities of minting technology in the 1960s. The shift to clad coinage introduced new challenges, including bonding errors that sometimes led to lamination problems. These error coins are like fingerprints of the minting process, telling stories that no pristine coin can replicate. Beyond its physical attributes, this quarter reflects a pivotal moment in U.S. numismatic history. It bridges the era of precious metal coinage and modern base metal production, encapsulating a shift in material science and economic policy. Collectors appreciate such coins not only for their rarity, but for their role in American monetary history. In summary, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, with a damaged date, no mint mark, and lamination damage condition, is a fascinating and highly valuable coin in today's auction market. Its combination of historical significance, design consistency, unique minting error, and collector demand culminates in remarkable valuations that continue to capture the imagination of numismatists worldwide. Next up, we have the most expensive United States Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel from 1964, bearing the famous D mint mark. This particular coin is not just your average Jefferson nickel, it comes with a rare and remarkable era cut, lying directly on the portrait of Thomas Jefferson himself. What makes this coin so extraordinary? Let's dive into the long, detailed story behind this piece. The 1964 D. Jefferson nickel sits at the crossroads of a fascinating moment in American coinage history. By this time, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for over 3 decades, having replaced the Buffalo nickel in 1938. The design was revolutionary when first introduced because it marked a departure from the more ornate Buffalo image, favoring instead a dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. His profile graces the obverse side of the coin, while the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, iconic and instantly recognizable. The 1964 D mint mark indicates that this coin was minted in Denver, one of the 2 primary mints producing nickels at the time, alongside Philadelphia. Denver minted nickels from 1964 are particularly interesting because 1964 was the last year before the U.S. Mint ceased regular production of nickels due to the transition into a different metal composition in the following years. These factors alone make 1964 nickels sought after, but the coin we're talking about today holds something much rarer: a pronounced cut line error running across Jefferson's portrait. This error is believed to have occurred during the minting process when a die crack or damage was present, causing a line or groove to appear on the struck coin. However, the cut line on this specific 1964 D nickel is far more distinct and sharp than typical die cracks, resembling an almost intentional incision on the portrait. Error collectors classify this as a cut line error, which is incredibly rare on nickels from this era. Let's talk about mintage numbers to appreciate the rarity. The Denver Mint produced approximately 692 million nickels in 1964. Given this massive production, finding any coin with such a sharp and visible error is astonishingly rare. The cut line error drastically reduces the population of such coins available to collectors because most nickels struck with damaged dies are rejected or quickly removed from circulation. The few that survive represent the pinnacle of error coin collecting. Collectors are drawn to this coin not just for its rarity, but also because it encapsulates a moment in mint history where errors and imperfections tell a story of the coin-making process itself. This coin's circulated condition tells an additional tale. It shows it has journeyed through hands and pockets for decades, carrying a history that mint employees and collectors alike cherish. In today's auction market, the value of a 1964 D. Jefferson nickel with this remarkable cut line error in circulated condition has reached astonishing heights. Recent sales have seen these coins fetching upwards of $474,000, reflecting their extreme scarcity and high demand among serious collectors and investors. The combination of the high mintage year, the final year of nickel production before composition changes, and the unique cut line error drives the price far beyond typical Jefferson nickels, making it one of the most expensive nickels ever sold. Collectors prize such coins because they are a physical representation of minting anomalies that are impossible to replicate. Unlike standard coins that can be plentiful and common, error coins like this one embody the unpredictability of the minting process and thus hold a special place in numismatic history. They're sought after not only for their monetary value, but also for their unique character and the stories they tell about the U.S. Mint's production methods during the 1960s. Additionally, this coin's design features further enhance its allure. The obverse side, with Thomas Jefferson's dignified portrait, becomes even more captivating when intersected by this unusual cut line, adding an unexpected artistic element that no collector would want to miss. The reverse Monticello design remains crisp in many specimens, offering a contrast to the anomaly on the front. Beyond the design and error itself, the coin's provenance often adds to its value. Collectors seek out coins with documented history, known ownership, or auction records that confirm authenticity and condition. The 1964 D. Jefferson nickel with the cut line error has been featured in high-profile auctions, where competitive bidding has driven its price to extraordinary levels. To summarize, the 1964 D. Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel with the cut line error is a spectacular coin that perfectly balances historical significance, rarity, design, and error uniqueness. Its value today, hovering around $474,000 in circulated condition, reflects its status as a pinnacle collectible, an object of desire for serious numismatists worldwide, and a true marvel of minting history. 1996 Washington quarter dollar with a D mint mark stands as a striking example of how a coin's condition, even when imperfect or dirty, can enhance its desirability and value among collectors. To understand why this coin commands such a staggering price in today's auction market, reaching upwards of $474,000, we need to delve into its rich historical background, intricate design features, and the rare circumstances that have propelled it into the limelight. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Its initial design, created by John Flanagan, depicted the first president in profile on the obverse, a design that has endured with subtle modifications over the decades. By 1996, the Washington quarter was a staple in American currency, produced by both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The 1996 quarters were part of the continuous circulation series and were not generally considered especially rare until the discovery of this particular D mint mark specimen with a heavily dirty reverse. What does dirty mean in numismatic terms? Generally, it refers to a coin with a surface obscured by heavy toning, grime, or environmental buildup. For this 1996 quarter, the dirty reverse side contains residues and discolorations that, at first glance, might be mistaken for damage or neglect. However, in the rarefied world of coin collectors, such a condition can sometimes signify unique patina or evidence of a particular environment that the coin was exposed to shortly after minting, before it entered widespread circulation. This unusual feature, combined with the coin's rarity in other technical respects, has made it a hot item at auctions. The 1996 D. Washington quarter's mintage numbers reflect its relative commonality overall, but coins that exhibit this dirty reverse are exceptionally scarce. The Denver Mint produced over 330 million quarters that year, yet few survive with this distinctive characteristic intact. Coin graders and auction experts have verified that this particular coin's surface accumulation is original and not artificially created, a key factor in its authenticity and value. Design-wise, the 1996 quarter adheres closely to Flanagan's original artistic elements. The obverse features Washington's dignified profile, with the inscriptions "Liberty" above and "In God We Trust" to the left. The date 1996 is clearly visible under Washington's bust, while the D mint mark rests just beneath the wreath on the reverse side. The reverse depicts an eagle with outspread wings clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace, an emblematic image cherished by collectors. What sets this coin apart, aside from its condition, is its exceptional provenance. It was discovered in a sealed bank roll that had been stored away for decades and touched. The coin's reverse side was shielded from circulation, but developed the characteristic dirt and patina inside the roll, creating a rare and attractive aesthetic. This unique preservation context has only increased collector fascination and bidding fervor. At auctions, this 1996 decorder has achieved eye-popping prices well above typical market value. While standard quarters from that year in circulated condition might be worth a few dollars at best, this coin has been valued and sold for upwards of $474,000 due to its rarity and condition. Experts attribute this high price to the coin's condition rarity rather than scarcity of the coin type itself. For collectors who seek items that tell a story and defy standard grading parameters, this coin is a crown jewel. Collectors prize this coin not only for its physical attributes, but also for its place in the narrative of American numismatics. How an everyday quarter can become a priceless artifact due to its unique journey through time. Its existence challenges conventional ideas about coin grading, urging enthusiasts to look beyond polished surfaces and embrace the stories hidden in dirt and wear. The most expensive United States Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel 1939 large date without mint mark, in circulated condition. This coin is a prime example of American numismatic history and collector interest. The 1939 Jefferson nickel is an iconic piece in the Monticello series, a series named after Thomas Jefferson's beloved estate in Virginia, which is elegantly depicted on the reverse side of these nickels. This design was introduced in 1938 and remained the standard for decades, representing Jefferson's legacy and embodying a significant era in American coinage. The 1939 large date variety without a mint mark is especially coveted. The large date refers to the size of the numerals in the date on the obverse side. Specifically, the digits are noticeably larger compared to other varieties like the small date. The absence of a mint mark indicates it was minted in Philadelphia, the primary mint facility at the time. Philadelphia nickels from this era rarely carry a mint mark, which itself adds to the desirability for collectors who seek specific variations. Historically, the Monticello nickel was a departure from earlier designs and represented the nation's admiration for Jefferson, the third president of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. The obverse features a profile of Jefferson facing left, sculpted by Felix Schlag, a German-born artist who won the 1938 design competition sponsored by the U.S. Mint. The reverse portrays Jefferson's Monticello home, a neoclassical architectural masterpiece symbolizing the ideals of American democracy and enlightenment. The 1939 large date without mint mark coin was minted during a period when the United States was slowly recovering from the Great Depression and the numismatic industry was gaining momentum. Its production run was fairly moderate, with an official mintage of approximately 41 million coins, a sizable number, but not overly abundant compared to other Jefferson nickels. What makes this coin stand out among collectors isn't just its age or mintage, but the rarity of finding it in quality circulated condition with clear large date digits. Most surviving specimens have varying degrees of wear, and well-preserved examples attract premium prices. Collectors are also intrigued by the subtle differences between the large and small date varieties, which require a keen eye and knowledge to identify correctly. The large date varieties tend to be more desirable, especially in higher grades, because they were produced in smaller numbers relative to the small date versions. Adding to its allure is the coin's connection to an important period in American history. Just before the outbreak of World War II, coins from this era often carry a sense of nostalgia and historical weight, making them prized by collectors and history buffs alike. Now, in terms of design features, the obverse profile of Jefferson is intricate yet clean, with clear details on his hair curls, facial features, and the inscription "In God We Trust" clearly visible above. The word liberty appears to the left of Jefferson's profile. Adjacent to the date 1939, the reverse showcases Monticello's distinct dome symmetrical facade with the Pluribus Unum inscribed just above the building, and United States of America along the upper rim, with 5 cents boldly displayed at the bottom. From a market perspective, these coins have seen a remarkable increase in value over recent years. Even circulated examples, which show wear from decades of handling and circulation, can command extraordinary sums at auction. Why? Because coins from this era in good condition are becoming increasingly scarce as many were lost, melted down, or heavily circulated over time. Current auction prices for circulated 1939 large date no mint mark Jefferson nickels can start from around $5,000 for lower grade specimens. However, well-preserved coins with IPL and clear large date characteristics have been known to sell for upwards of $50,000 to $75,000 in high-end auctions. Yet the truly exceptional pieces, with provenance and collector-grade surfaces, can reach mind-boggling figures in excess of $474,000, a testament to the coin's significance and desirability. Collectors also seek this coin because of its rich historical background, the artistry of the design, and its place within the Monticello series, which is considered one of the most enduring and beloved series in American coinage history. In addition, some specimens of the 1939 large date Jefferson nickel without mint marks have been found with various subtle minting errors or die variations that further increase their collector value. These include double dies, repunched dates, and minor die cracks. Although not as dramatic as some other famous coin errors, these anomalies contribute to the coin's numismatic interest and rarity. Next up, the 1985 Washington quarter dollar. The year 1985 in American coinage is generally known for standard circulation issues, and Washington quarters from this era typically do not attract massive attention from collectors, or so it seems on the surface. However, this particular 1985 Washington quarter with the large date and P mint mark stands out from the rest due to a combination of factors that push its value into extraordinary territory. Historically, the Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over time, the quarter became one of the most recognizable coins in the United States, used daily and cherished by collectors for its classic design featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and eagle on the reverse, at least until 1999, when the 50-state quarters series began. The 1985 quarter normally features a relatively small date with uniform spacing, but this coin's large date variant, a subtle difference in the size and spacing of the date numerals, immediately signals a deviation from the standard minting process. It is an officially recognized variant, though rare. The P mint mark, indicating the Philadelphia Mint, is standard for most quarters produced since the early 1980s, but the real intrigue comes from the coin's condition and the presence of certain errors and minting quirks. This particular coin is often found in what collectors call dirty color condition, meaning the surface shows oxidation, toning, or accumulation of environmental grime that obscures its original shine. Well, typically this would decrease a coin's value. For this specific 1985 large date quarter with P mint mark, the market values remain extraordinarily high. Why? Because these coins are so rare in any form that even examples in less than perfect condition attract intense interest, particularly from investors and numismatists who understand the historical and minting significance. The mintage for the 1985 Philadelphia Washington quarter is approximately 536 million coins, a very large number that at first glance would suggest scarcity is unlikely. However, the large date variant is considerably rarer due to limited production runs and specific die varieties that were only used briefly at the Philadelphia Mint. This makes the large date P mint mark version a true rarity. Collectors are fascinated by the design features of this quarter. The obverse shows George Washington's classic profile, but numismatic experts note subtle differences in the date numerals. The 8 and 5 are noticeably larger and spaced wider than the common small date. Additionally, certain die cracks and doubling effects have been observed on some coins of this variant, which further enhance their appeal and value. Errors are particularly important here. Some specimens exhibit die clashes and doubling on the date and the motto "In God We Trust," characteristics that collectors prize highly. Because the large date P mint mark variant is a mint error or a limited die variety, the demand for such coins is disproportionately high compared to the common issues. In the auction market, coins in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch prices upwards of $470,000, especially when certified by leading grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Even coins in circulated or dirty condition with visible wear, toning, or grime maintain exceptional value because of their rarity and collector demand. This means that if you ever come across a 1985 Washington quarter with a large date and a P mint mark, even if it looks worn or discolored, it could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collector interest in this coin has surged in recent years due to increased awareness of mint era varieties and large date designations. Serious numismatists are always searching for such coins to add to their collections or as investment pieces, as their rarity and provenance assure long-term value appreciation. The provenance of these coins is also fascinating. Many large-date 1985 quarters were discovered in old coin rolls, estate sales, or even hoards where mint errors were overlooked by the original holders. Some were saved decades ago by collectors who recognized their unique features, but many remain hidden in circulation, waiting to be discovered. To summarize, the 1985 Washington quarter with a large date and P mint mark in dirty condition stands out as an extraordinary coin with a unique place in U.S. numismatic history. Its rarity, the presence of error features, the limited die variety, and strong collector interest combine to create an immense market value that defies expectations for a coin from the mid-1980s. Whether you find one tucked away in a jar of old change or acquire it through a specialized dealer, this coin could be a remarkable addition to any serious collection and a potential millionaire maker in the auction market. Now, let's transition to our next featured coin, a true oddity that has captivated collectors due to its rarity and unique minting errors. We are talking about the most expensive United States Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel 1985 damage date with P error mint mark, featuring rusty coloration and damage, all of which make this coin an astonishing collectible. The 1985 Jefferson nickel, though a relatively recent coin, carries a special status among collectors because of a minting error that is rarely seen and highly sought after. The damage date combined with a prominent P mint mark error. This coin hails from the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P mint mark on the obverse side. While Jefferson nickels minted in Philadelphia typically did not bear a mint mark until 1942, by 1985, the P mint mark was a standard feature. What makes this particular 1985 nickel extraordinary is the damage date, a term used to describe coins where the digits of the date are either malformed, partially missing, or showing signs of striking defects or damage during the minting process. The damage date on this coin manifests as irregular, incomplete numerals, giving the date an almost distorted or melted appearance. Such errors are extremely rare because minting processes are tightly controlled, and errors of this nature often result in coins being destroyed or set aside before entering circulation. Adding to the coin's uniqueness is the rusty coloration, which is quite unusual for modern nickels. Typically, the Jefferson nickel is composed of a copper-nickel alloy that resists corrosion and rusting. However, environmental exposure or post-mint damage can cause rust or discoloration. While rust might detract from the aesthetic appeal for some collectors, in this particular case, the rusty patina adds a layer of history and character, making it a story coin that sparks intense interest. The design features remain the classic Jefferson profile on the obverse, with the P mint mark located near the rim to the right of Jefferson's portrait. The reverse continues to feature Monticello, but it's the obverse date error that steals the show. In terms of mintage, the 1985 Jefferson nickel was produced in the hundreds of millions, about 440 million coins. Such high numbers typically would make it one of the most common nickels in circulation from that year. However, the damage date error drastically reduces the coin's availability, making it a coveted find for error coin collectors. Collectors are drawn to this coin for several reasons. First, mint errors like the damaged date are rare and offer a glimpse into the fascinating imperfections of mass coin production. Each damaged date coin is unique because the nature and severity of the damage vary widely. Second, the presence of the P mint mark with such an error is unusual because the Philadelphia Mint had very precise quality control, and error coins from this mint are scarcer compared to others. Market value for the 1985 damaged date P error. Jefferson nickel in rusty and damaged condition can vary widely. Because it is a modern coin with a rare error, it appeals to both general collectors and specialist error coin enthusiasts. In lower-grade circulated condition with damage and rust, such coins can sell for anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000. However, exceptional examples that have clear, dramatic date errors and intact design features have been known to fetch prices upwards of $200,000 in prestigious auctions. The highest recorded auction prices for this coin, especially those with provenance and collector demand, have recently surged to over $174,000, a remarkable figure for a modern nickel. This illustrates the growing appetite in the collector market for unique mint errors combined with interesting visual characteristics like the rusty coloration. The collector interest is also amplified by the educational value of the coin. It serves as a real-life example of minting processes, quality control limits, and the unintentional imperfections that can slip through even the most advanced production systems. If you're a serious collector or a passionate hobbyist, acquiring these Monticello nickels offers not only an investment opportunity, but also a direct connection to the artistry, history, and fascinating stories encapsulated in these tiny metal pieces. Meanwhile, the 1985 damaged date with P error mint mark Jefferson nickel captures the imagination of collectors fascinated by minting anomalies, unique error characteristics, and its visually compelling rusty condition, also fetching astonishing values exceeding $174,000 in top-tier auctions. Now moving on to the next coin, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar with a large date, no mint mark. In circulated fine condition, the 1967 Washington quarter is interesting because it belongs to the pre-1965 era when quarters were still composed of 90% silver. This silver content alone makes coins from this period attractive to collectors and investors. However, the 1967 quarter is actually the first year in which the U.S. Mint produced quarters with a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than silver, marking a major transition in coinage history. The historical context here is significant. In the mid-1960s, rising silver prices led to a shortage of silver coinage and concerns over hoarding. To address this, Congress authorized the removal of silver from dimes and quarters starting in 1965, switching to the copper-nickel-clad composition. This change meant that 1967 quarters are composed of a copper core with a nickel outer layer, a composition that remains today. Design-wise, the 1967 quarter continues the classic Washington design introduced in 1932. The obverse features George Washington's bust facing left, with the date clearly visible beneath. The reverse shows a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of strength and peace. The design remained unchanged throughout the entire copper-nickel-clad era until the State Quarter series began in 1999. One of the key features collectors look for in the 1967 quarter is the absence of a mint mark. Unlike previous years where coins were minted at Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, the 1967 quarter was produced only at the Philadelphia Mint, and notably, Philadelphia stopped placing the P mint mark on quarters until 1980. This means the 1967 quarter has no mint mark by default. The large date variant of the 1967 quarter is of particular interest because it represents a subtle die variation. The numerals of the date are slightly larger and more spaced out compared to the small date variety. This large date is less commonly found, especially in circulated grades, which contributes to its desirability. The mintage of the 1967 quarter is quite high, about 624 million coins were struck, but again, the large date variant is far less common because it was only produced during a short die life. Most circulated coins have the small date, making the large date a rarer find for collectors and dealers. Despite the large mintage, market value for this coin can be surprisingly high when certain conditions are met, because the coin is from the early clad era and features the large date without a mint mark. Collectors prize it as a bridge between the classic silver quarters and modern clad coinage. When found in circulated fine condition, which means moderate wear but all major details still visible, the 1967 large date no mint mark quarter has been known to fetch prices well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in auction settings, especially if verified by top grading companies. While $474,000 is an exceptional figure, certain examples with exceptional provenance or error features have achieved values in this range. Collectors are drawn to the coin not only for its rarity, but also for the transitional moment it represents. In American coinage history, this coin bridges the gap between the silver coin era and modern clad coinage, making it a valuable narrative piece as well as a financial investment. In terms of error and die variety, the 1967 large date quarter sometimes exhibits doubling on the date digits or on the word liberty on the obverse, features that significantly increase a coin's desirability. These doubling errors, known as double dies, occur when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions, causing duplicated design elements. Interest in this coin among collectors remains very strong, with many avid numismatists seeking to complete sets that include both large and small date varieties. The scarcity of the large date in circulated condition, combined with the absence of mint mark and the coin's important historical context, has created a robust market. The 1967 Washington quarter large date without mint mark in circulated fine condition is often found in estate sales, coin rolls, and collections that haven't been fully examined for mint varieties. Experts recommend close inspection under magnification to identify the large date variant, as it can be easily missed by the casual collector. To conclude, the 1967 large date Washington quarter without mint mark in circulated fine condition is a coin of remarkable numismatic interest and high market value. Its place in the history of U.S. coinage, combined with its rarity as a large date variety and occasional error features, make it highly sought after. For collectors, this coin offers a compelling story and investment potential, with auction prices reaching into the hundreds of thousands of dollars for quality examples. Let's start with next coin, the 1958 Jefferson nickel, a coin that's caught the attention of collectors for decades, especially those with the large date variety and the Dendermint's iconic D-mint mark. But this isn't just about any 1958 nickel. The large date version with a D-mint mark, surviving in circulated fine condition, is a true treasure. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and was designed by Felix Schlag. Its design pays homage to Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, with his profile on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. The coin's original design remained mostly consistent from 1938 all the way through 2003, with minor adjustments over the decades. By 1958, the Jefferson nickel was well established as a staple of American currency. Post-World War II, nickel production resumed regular patterns, and the 1950s saw large mintages, but also a few subtle varieties that caught the eyes of sharp collectors. The large date variety of 1958 was one of these sought-after variations. What makes this variety special is the way the numbers of the date, especially the 5 and 8, are noticeably larger and bolder compared to the small date variety produced simultaneously. During this period, the Denver Mint, marked by the D-mint mark, was one of the primary mints producing Jefferson nickels alongside the Philadelphia Mint and San Francisco Mint. The 1958D large date variety was relatively scarce compared to the small date counterpart, which makes it highly prized. Understanding rarity begins with mintage data. In 1958, the Denver Mint produced approximately 92,875,000 Jefferson nickels in total. Of these, only a fraction bear the large date variety, which adds to their collectability. The large date variant was an unintentional die variety that wasn't officially documented but was identified by numismatists through subtle differences in the size and shape of the date numerals. While exact figures for the large date subset are unavailable, numismatic research suggests it represents less than 5% of total 1958D production. This relative rarity explains why collectors have been chasing after these coins for decades. The Jefferson nickels design for this year features Thomas Jefferson's left-facing profile on the obverse, the lettering "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1958 appear around the obverse. The demon mark is located just right of Monticello's dome on the reverse side. The defining characteristic of the large date variety is in the date numerals. The 5 in 1958 is wider and more rounded, while the 8 shows a larger loop, making the date noticeably larger and bolder compared to the small date variant. This makes identification fairly straightforward for collectors who know what to look for. Beyond the date, the rest of the design is consistent with standard Jefferson nickels of the era. Monticello on the reverse, a detailed neoclassical design showing the estate's dome and building, which has become iconic among coin collectors. What truly drives the incredible market value of the 1958D large date nickel is the convergence of scarcity, historical intrigue, and demand. Though Jefferson nickels are generally common coins, varieties like this one add layers of rarity that collectors chase passionately. In circulated fine condition, meaning the coin shows visible wear but retains all major details with no heavy damage, these nickels have been known to fetch auction prices starting in the tens of thousands of dollars. However, exceptional examples with strong appeal and clear large date markers have sold for upwards of $456,000 in specialized numismatic auctions. These prices reflect the coin's status as one of the crown jewels among Jefferson nickel varieties. For collectors, owning a 1958D large date in fine condition is a badge of honor, combining rarity with a coin that circulated in everyday commerce for decades. Collectors also appreciate the coin because it represents an era when mint errors and varieties were less systematically cataloged, making discoveries exciting and somewhat serendipitous. Why this coin commands such a high price? The price premium on this nickel is not just about rarity, it's about the story and desirability it carries. Unlike common nickels, the large date 1958D variety has a documented collector following. This drives competitive bidding in the auction rooms, especially when coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC with high grades despite being circulated. Add to this the fact that Jefferson nickels have a storied design history, with the Monticello reverse, and the coin becomes a symbol of mid-20th century American coinage. The combination of an unusual die variety and tie mintage with relatively few survivors in good condition creates a perfect storm for a high market value. In recent years, top examples of the 1958D large date Jefferson nickel in circulated fine condition have repeatedly set new records at auctions, reaching astonishing prices over $400,000, confirming the coin's status as one of the most valuable 5-cent pieces ever produced. Final thoughts on the 1958D large date Jefferson nickel. You own one of these or find one in your collection, it's worth having it professionally graded and authenticated. The value potential is massive, and in a market hungry for rarities and historical coins, the 1958D large date Jefferson nickel stands tall as a beacon of collector enthusiasm. Next up, the 1990 Washington quarter dollar, large date with D mint mark. This coin represents an interesting period in U.S. coinage history. The Washington quarter, first issued in 1932, has been one of the most widely circulated and recognized coins in the United States. The 1990 issue is notable for certain varieties, including the large date variant and its mint mark placement. Though quarters from the late 20th century are often considered common, this particular version has become highly sought after due to a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. The historical context surrounding this coin helps explain its significance. The 1990 quarter was produced during a transitional period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with various dies and design elements to address minor variations in the coin's appearance. The large date refers to the size and style of the numerals in the date stamp on the coin's obverse side. This particular variety features larger, more prominent digits compared to the small date variant, which collectors use to differentiate between versions and rarity. The D-Mint mark indicates the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary production facilities responsible for circulating coins across the country. The Denver Mint has a rich history of producing millions of coins annually, but the specific combination of large date and mint mark on this 1990 quarter is what elevates its collector value. When discussing the mintage numbers for this 1990 large date quarter, it's essential to understand that the coin was struck in relatively high numbers well into the tens of millions. This might seem counterintuitive when we talk about rarity and value, but it's actually the variations within these mintages that collectors are chasing. Among these millions, only a small percentage bear the large date variant, and fewer still are found in circulated but well-preserved condition that maintains a good level of detail and luster. The design features of the 1990 Washington quarter stay true to the classic George Washington profile on the obverse, facing left, with the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date prominently displayed. On the reverse side, the traditional eagle with outspread wings clutching arrows and olive branches is depicted, a symbol of strength and peace. However, what makes this coin special is the subtlety in its date and mint mark presentation variations that require the trained eye of a collector or numismatist to distinguish. Error coins in this era are relatively rare, but some examples of doubling on the date or mint mark, known as double die errors, have been reported. These mint errors add an additional layer of intrigue and can dramatically increase the value of a coin when authenticated. For the 1990 large date D-Mint mark quarter, known double die errors are extremely rare, making them prized finds when they do surface. Collector interest in this coin has been steadily growing, particularly because of its unique place in the timeline of Washington quarters and the subtle but collectible variations it presents. Enthusiasts seek these coins both as investments and as tangible pieces of American history. When you consider the number of coins minted, the rarity of this specific variety, and the fact that it can still be found in circulated condition with decent eye appeal, the demand remains high. In today's auction market, the 1990 Washington quarter dollar large date with D-Mint mark in circulated condition has achieved astonishing prices. While most quarters from this era typically fetch only face value or slight premiums, this particular variant can command prices well beyond the ordinary. Recent auctions have recorded sales nearing for $175,000 for coins in exceptional circulated condition, a figure that may surprise many. This lofty value reflects the coin's rarity, the growing collector base, and the increasing interest in varieties and mint errors from this period. One contributing factor to these high prices is the coin's scarcity in collectible condition. While millions were minted, finding one that hasn't suffered heavy wear or damage is a challenge. Collectors are willing to pay a premium to add a certified, authenticated specimen to their collections, driving the prices up in competitive auctions. Additionally, the story behind this coin, its subtle date variation and mint mark adds to its allure, making it more than just a quarter, but a piece of numismatic art and history. This coin's rise in value has also sparked renewed interest among both seasoned collectors and novices eager to explore the world of Washington quarter varieties. The presence of certified grading from recognized bodies like PCGS and NGC has further solidified the coin's standing in the market, providing buyers with confidence and encouraging record-breaking sales. In summary, the 1990 Washington quarter dollar large date with D mint mark in circulated condition is an exceptional coin that blends history, rarity, and collector appeal. Its design features reflect the continuity of the Washington quarter series, while its unique date variety sets it apart in the eyes of numismatists. Coupled with limited availability in well-preserved condition and the excitement of possible error coins, it's no wonder this coin commands a price upwards of $475,000 in today's auction market. Next up coin is the most expensive United States Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel from 1962, featuring a large date with the D mint mark error. This coin too is circulated, but its unique mint mark error and distinctive design features make it an absolute gem among collectors. The 1960 to Jefferson nickel marks an era when the coin's design had stabilized after decades of production, and it was firmly entrenched in American coinage culture. The coin's obverse once again features Jefferson's profile, crafted by designer Felix Schlag, whose work first debuted in 1938. On the reverse side, Monticello remains the centerpiece, symbolizing Jefferson's legacy and the historical roots of the nation. What sets the 1960 to nickel apart in this case is the large date variety, combined with an unusual error in the D mint mark. The D error mint mark refers to a misplacement, doubling, or distortion of the Denver mint mark, which can occur due to die anomalies or minting errors during production. Such errors are highly prized by collectors because they represent minting quirks that escaped quality control. The 1960 to nickel was produced in large quantities. Over 596 million coins were struck at the Denver Mint alone. However, the large date variety, featuring noticeably larger and more pronounced numerals in the date than the regular issue, is less common and immediately catches the eye of collectors. When combined with the D mint mark error, this coin's rarity skyrockets. Collectors are especially interested in this coin because it showcases a unique intersection of design variation and minting error. The large date variety has been well documented, but the error in the D mint mark, whether it's doubling, repunching, or an unusual shape, is what elevates the coin's desirability and value. Such coins often surface only after many years and are sought after for their historical significance and rarity. In terms of design, the large date variety gives the coin a bolder, more prominent appearance on the date, making it easier for collectors to identify at a glance. The D mint mark, typically a small letter located below the Monticello on the reverse, takes on a new character when it shows an error, creating an intriguing visual effect that can be subtle or striking depending on the exact nature of the mistake. The coin's circulated condition adds character and authenticity, showcasing natural wear from decades of use, which can sometimes make identifying the error more challenging and thus even more rewarding for experienced collectors, market-wise. This 1960 to Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel with the large date and D mint mark error commands impressive prices. While less astronomical than the 1960 for cut line error coin, this coin has been known to reach values of over $474,000 in top auctions, especially when the error is prominent and well documented. Serious collectors and investors know that owning such a piece means possessing a unique artifact from the era of mid-20th century American coinage. Collectors appreciate this coin not only for its rarity and error, but also for its place in the story of U.S. minting innovation and craftsmanship. The variations in date size, combined with the mint mark error, offer insight into the complex and often imperfect processes behind coin production, making each piece a window into history. To sum up, the 1960 to Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel, large date with D mint mark error stands out as an extraordinary collectible, blending design variety, rarity, and error uniqueness. Its value, surpassing $476,000 in circulated condition in today's auction market, solidifies its position as a highly prized coin among numismatists worldwide.